Basically, the vandalism and graffiti has been accelerating at an alarming rate.
You know, for many of us, like myself, you know, this is actually what saved my life, and I'm sure for Juan Carlos and Alex the same. And so art is not just about technique, but for me it was also like a lifesaver, the only thing I can clench on to.
Okay, hi, I'm Annie Buckley. I'm the curator of this exhibition, Bridging HomeBoy Industries, with these three amazing artists, Fabian, Debora, Alex, Kizu, and Juan Munoz, Hernandez. Something that I'm always interested in as an art writer, and in this case as a curator, is to step out of the kind of mainstream narrative of history and of art history. And in this case, these artists are all known and really well known in some kind of art world, in some art circles, and not as much in others. All three of them have been artists since they were really young, but they didn't take what's really considered to be the pathway of artists nowadays. They were working on their own in the streets, together with others, together with each other, in a much more fluid, more collaborative, more, say, life-based education.
I think this show is important because it basically shows how we've changed and we've evolved from the people that we used to be, the stuff that we used to struggle with, and just coming up in Boyle Heights and other Rampart areas, surrounding parts of LA. We had went through some turbulent times, but we were able to turn things around and focus more on art and positivity.
Well, I think what makes it so important is that I think the people that actually, like Annie Buckley and HomeBoy Industries, how through them we were able to get here. That's actually was a good name, you know, Bridging, because it was a bridge from growing up in the projects and in Boyle Heights. And then that bridge was led, the First Street Bridge and the 4th Street Bridge, you know, once you cross that bridge, you go into the world, even though it's like you got Little Tokyo and then downtown and Pico Union, but it still is a bridge to get away from the neighborhood.
Art is not just about technique, but for me it was also like a lifesaver, the only thing I can clench on to growing up in the housing projects. And so as I start to transform my life in a sense where I remove myself from gang culture, from drug addiction, it is also important that I capture these images that also return the image of a gang member to humanity. That's my responsibility as an artist, because the outsider has a tendency to misinterpret what goes on in my community. But I have the tendency to find the beauty within my community.
I spit incredible heat, call me the General Chief. I got flames, kid, y'all gonna see the dragon unleashed, the venom and beast, black magic, cannibal feast, immaculate speech. I know not to trust the streets, this life is hard. Devil might pull your card, receive light from the God, murder without probable cause. The law states if you fake, son, you could be charged. The street level kingpin.
There's a lot of richness that comes from my community, like the housing projects. You know, there's familia, there's cultura within those projects, along with gang culture, which is a layer. But it's important that, you know, as an artist, that I make it my responsibility to define and to educate those outsiders or those who tend to misinterpret where I come from. And so a lot of the symbolism or imagery that you see in my exhibits always has that essence of the street aesthetic, you know, like the hanging of the shoes, the Converse, convicted all-star. There's a metaphor there, you know, like I am a painter, I am an artist, I'm an all-star in my community, but forever I seem to be convicted, regardless, always being held because of my past, but not because of who I've become. So once they see that image and that painting and they ask me, why convicted all-star? I'm able to express to them the reasons why. Now the conversation begins, you know what I mean? And that's how we begin to break the stereotypes through identity, culture, religion, and gender. And that's my idea and my responsibility as well as an artist.
Street gospel, light of the temple, sword guitar swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Blackberry on the devil in a black cloak. Scarecrow, black mask, call me Grey